Hello beautiful beings, and welcome back to the realm of inspiration. Today's video is all about the summer solstice. Happy summer solstice! It's the summer season. So before I get into the spring season recap, I'm just currently getting a little bit grounded right now so I don't get too emotional and cry, because today marks 5 years of my awakening journey. So it started before this point, but on the summer solstice 5 years ago, I'm a solar being, so this is like a summer solstice is when I chose to seek that healing, which I didn't realize the power of that until like a year later when I learned of my soul origins. I chose my healing, and that inspired me to want to sit down and tell my story, but I kind of went through it took me a while to work on it. I'd been working on it for about 6 months by the time it got published. So I have a new book, Awakening the Channeler, Within, pictures included, because I do not have the physical book with me yet. So probably for sure I'm going to have it with me and call attention to it on the 8/8 live channeling. I'm going to be doing a live channeling on the Lion's Gate, where Awakening the Channeler Within, I decided I wanted to tell my story of becoming a channeler in a different way through answering questions that you all shared with me privately. And I did a poll like 6 months ago, and I was like, what questions do you all have about channeling? I did that on my Instagram, and I received some lovely feedback of certain questions, and then I asked clients after sessions, what questions do you have about channeling, to formulate the book. And it's about 25 questions with a few little bonus things in there that I answer and tell my story and also share my experience. But I started the book off with a poem of the day that I chose my healing. And I went back and forth, do I want to tell my story by just rehashing the past, or do I want to tell my story in a way that empowers the future? So I went through a lot, and I went through studying Ho'oponopono, I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly, the art of forgiveness. And I realized that for me to make a book that I'm putting out there with everything that I do kind of so heavily focusing on the hardship of my past, it means I'm not forgiving it and I'm not letting it go. So I let it go, and I made something different that I love. I'm very happy with it. And that was in celebration of 10 years of me leaving my now estranged father. That I did that March 13th. And I did make a little short video about it, and I was gonna do something more actually that day. I was gonna do like a vlog style video. That was in the spring. We're kind of getting into the spring recap a little bit, but other circumstances occurred and I was not able to do that. But maybe one day I will, maybe like a 15-year celebration, I don't know. 10 years of my spiritual awakening, I will do like a vlog style video. But I kind of did day in the life of a channeler, so it works. But for the celebration, I will do that in 5 years for my 10-year awakening anniversary. Maybe just do like a live, I don't know. I'm thinking 5 years in advance. Who knows? I didn't think I'd be here in 5 years, living in Greece, and I have my first channel text with me that I did when I was 18. I was 18. This is, yeah. So kind of the reason I have this in my hand is because I feel like it's going to guide the channeling today. So I'm just going to have it off to the side. But I've got the spring recap to do. So that book is that. And this is I'm celebrating 5 years of my soul awakening. So the spring energy recap, I'm going to be honest, spring was a lot for me. It was a lot. There was a lot going on. I'm going to be honest, the month of April was a lot. And that's halfway of with the Elfian year of abundance, how they call it. So that's a halfway point. I was like, how is this? It's test of abundance. Really, the halfway point removes blocks of abundance, removes blocks of your abundance. And it definitely did occur. It removed a big block. And the biggest thing I noticed was ignoring your intuition. I am human. I make mistakes. It happens. So it is something that I can admit that I noticed through my mistakes and through talking with people, that a very common theme is ignoring your intuition. And this is something that, like, the spring season taught us why we have to listen to our intuition, and what can happen when we try to ignore our intuition and just like blindly see the best in everyone. So this was a very common theme, was as a channeler, a healer, light worker, medium, whatever you are, whatever you do, or just someone seeking enlightenment, someone seeking healing, just anyone who's just trying to learn and grow and connect to divine light and love. It's a blessing and a curse to see the best in everyone, which isn't a bad thing. But sometimes, and this was a theme that came through a few times, and a message came to me where, yeah, you can see the best in everyone because everyone's soul is divine light and love. Like, everyone's soul, we all are beings of life. We all come from the same source. We are all one. But sometimes the egos drop the frequency, and sometimes some souls choose darkness. And even though their original excellence is divine light and love, the life that they're choosing in this lifetime, the life that they're choosing by being guided by the lower self, the life that they are choosing by not connecting to source, not connecting to God, the life that they are choosing by choosing jealousy and judgment and hate and arrogance and wrath and all of these things, that life that they are choosing is dropping their frequency. So while their soul does technically come from our same source, right now in this lifetime, they're just not in a good energy. They're not a good person in this lifetime. It doesn't mean that they don't have a good heart at the end of the day. And I struggled with this so much, and I learned and understood cognitive dissonance, and I went through this, and I couldn't channel, and I couldn't do anything. And I was processing this concept that, you know, I look at people, and I look like at them, and I see their soul, and I see that past all the darkness, they have a good soul. But then to justify with the fact that they are choosing a path of darkness, they're choosing a path of a lower polarity, they are dropping their frequency, their soul is getting tainted, they are accruing a lot of bad karma, they are just, you know, taking on a lot of negative energy, and they're not behaving nicely, and they're treating people disrespectfully, and they're not a kind person. And like, seeing those things, it's the two opposing realities, trying to make peace with them. And the way I made peace with it was the way that I learned that, like, we need to, and this was a big test, is like, what is someone's intentions? It's not about who they show you they are or who they are beneath the surface. It was what's their intentions behind the actions. That came through as a theme. And that just like made sense to me right now. So, you know, I do this part with like clairaudiency, where I kind of tap into not just the Elfian realm, but also like my highest self and the realm of knowledge and truth, the beings of knowledge and truth, as well as beings of hope and the divine. So like, having all of that guidance coming through in my spirit guides and everything, it's like, what is the intention? Is the intention coming from the higher self, or is it the intention coming from the lower self? Like, where do they make their choices from? So it doesn't necessarily matter that we are all souls from the same source and we choose divine light. And like, we are divine light and love within us, not more so divine love within us. We are beings of life. We come from that same source. That doesn't necessarily excuse behaviors that are chosen from the lower self. And there was one specific relationship dynamic that I was in where I watched the shift of that person choose to live by their lower self. And I choose to live by my higher self. And by that, I want to save, I want to heal, I want to help. And I started losing myself in the process. And in this situation and in this heartbreak, and I will say that because this person came in, and it was a situation where at first it seemed like this person was also following their highest self. And that was not the case. And I remember when the mask, the veil dropped, and it was after I went to an energetic portal. So after I went to Cape Sunion in the Temple of Poseidon, all of those ruins are energetic portals. And this is when I learned, and this stayed with me for spring, because after this point, and I remember being told by my guides, after the spring equinox, things are going to shift, and it is time for you to go to portals. And a few days later is when I went to Poseidon's temple and the Cape Sunion and that portal. And that is when, like, the clarity, I ignored this, but I had the visions coming through so clearly. There was an activation of psychic abilities this spring, a rebirth of that, where I saw very clearly in one instant where someone is choosing to live a life by their lower self. And I remember that when it ended, I felt like what broke was my soul, because I was soul sacrificing. And I didn't realize it until a few months later. It's taken me some time. That theme of soul sacrificing. Because when it ended, it's like everything I poured into this, all the energy, all the sacrifices, I soul sacrificed to keep this person afloat. But at the same time, I was having my spirit team come in and teach me divine intervention. Before the end of the relationship, I understood a different layer of divine intervention, because I was having my spirit team come to me and I was telling them, no, leave me alone. And they're like, no. We are invoking divine intervention. And I talk about this experience in the book that I recently published. We are invoking a divine intervention. And what does this mean? I have free will? No. Like, no, I don't want this. I don't want time. I don't have time for this. Like, no, you are a channeler. You're a communicator in the Elfian realm. You are a light worker. You have things you got to do. You did not go through everything you went through to get lost in this moment. We are invoking a divine intervention. We are not leaving. We're staying here. And I tried to ignore them, and they would not. They said, you have to listen to what we're saying. And this happened mid-April. And they said, when is the last time you grounded? When is the last time you connected? I was like, I did the channeling for the spring equinox, and that was it. I was not in my body. Like, I was operating like my soul was breaking. And that feeling is why, like, I know that I have, like, you know, channeled the messages multiple times before of, like, do not soul sacrifice. That is a really big lesson they talk about here, the cosmic Elfian elementals talk about in this book, my first channel text. And, you know, that's a really big thing that I've been taught, and I didn't understand it, like, why you do not soul sacrifice, until I was in it, and I was soul sacrificing, and I didn't know. And you soul sacrifice when you ignore your intuition, and you continue to try and save someone who does not want your saving, who does not want help, who, even if they need it, they don't want it, and they're going to say no. And my spirit team had to come and divine intervene. And I spent a month coming back together, and I went to so many portal energies. So many. I went all along the Peloponnese of Greece, and I'm going to more portal energies. I'm going to keep going. And I kept going to these portal energies until I felt alive again. Like, I kept going, and I kept channeling, and I kept channeling, and I kept channeling, and I started, like, I was like, okay, I kept tuning into my clairaudience. I pulled all my cards off the shelf, and I'm like, I got to get back. And it started by going into the sea and asking for cleansing, asking for grounding, asking for healing, and that's when it shifted, because they came in and they divine intervened to get me to that point, to get me out of the house. They're like, okay, go. You gotta go, you gotta go, you gotta do this. And I was living in a state of fear that I was experiencing, like, so many other, like, things related to fear. Like, I was anxious all the time. I was running on autopilot. I felt like I was like, my soul was splitting in half, like splitting into multiple different pieces, and this guy was taking that energy, like, and I was completely losing myself. It took me understanding that when you sign up to heal yourself, when you sign up to grow, when you sign up to do light work, when you sign up to open yourself up to the awareness of your spirit team and guardian angels, you are activating a contract where your healing, your growth, your ascension, your development is the priority. Where your energy is the priority. Because if you lose your energy, you lose your light, then that causes a negative effect to the collective. When you choose to heal, this is a theme that Spring was showing me. It's carrying us forward. When you choose to heal and you make the conscious effort that you are going to help elevate the collective reality, when you are doing things that's against that contract, basically, where you are losing yourself, when you are losing your light, when you are giving your energy away, your spirit team and guardian angels have every right to come in and be like, no, we're invoking a divine intervention. You need to put you first and not drain yourself and not sacrifice yourself for somebody else. Because if you sacrifice yourself for one person, what about the tens of hundreds of people that you can help just by healing? Just by healing, just by doing your work, just by being you, not losing you in someone else. And typically, you know, when I notice themes for a month, it's not so heavy on my life, but this year of 2025, it's like, it's the year of the snake, and the snake is coming through and it is cleansing my life, and it is showing me the themes for the collective reality and what we are healing. And I am really going through the trenches with all of you. It's not like from an outside perspective and I'm like, oh, I'm just seeing it. It's like, no, I'm actually going through it. And I'm going to say that I'm not going to be that person who is saying, I notice these things, but no, it's what I'm noticing from a distance. No, like I'm in the trenches with all of you. I'm experiencing it all. And I learned, you know, as a communicator, as a channeler, I have to go through experiences to be able to, you know, channel them correctly. And, you know, I channeled so many times about the concept of soul sacrifice, and I talk about it, but I never experienced in this lifetime what that felt like, and I had to experience it because I've channeled it, and as a channeler, whatever I channel, I have to experience. This is something I learned, and that is kind of brought through in the book, because when I was doing the book, it was a lot of clairaudiency, a lot of like with my highest self. So it's not technically a channel text, but it is a channel text with my highest self. The awakening the channeler within picture again. But it's very fascinating how soul contracts work, where we are invoking soul contracts right now, that everything happening is a soul contract, everything is supposed to be happening. And that is the biggest theme, is the biggest message. And okay, divine timing, elementals, to wrap it up and start going to the channeling. But that is the biggest thing carrying us forward. And we have been in a test of free will. This means a test of free will is also like saving ourselves from soul sacrificing. So we should no longer soul sacrifice ourselves for somebody else. And I experienced that, and it was, now I think about it, I'm like, I had my highest self was telling me, get out, leave, get out, what are you doing, what are you doing, leave, get out. Like, I was hearing that, and I'm like, oh no, this is anxiety. I was having my clairaudient abilities expand, and I was hearing things, like, clearly messages coming through of, it's not safe, and I'm like, no, this is anxiety. I have anxious attachment, and this is anxiety. No. Ignoring my intuition. We need to not ignore our intuition. Sometimes it's not anxiety, because it's not like run, it's not telling me run, it's like leave, like you know it's not safe, don't go, don't leave the house, you know it's not safe. It's not a safe situation, not like my life, not like physically unsafe, but like energetically unsafe, spiritually unsafe, emotionally unsafe, just like not a good situation. And when we ignore our intuition will keep getting louder until we can't do anything but hear it. And that's what was happening. That's like that divine intervention that was occurring, was my higher self was telling me, my intuition was telling me, I was telling me, and I kept ignoring it, and I kept ignoring it, and I kept soul sacrificing and soul sacrificing and soul sacrificing until my spirit team was like, no, you need to listen. You're not having the option of not listening, because this is not healthy. We should not soul sacrifice ourselves for somebody else, for some situation. When it is done, it is done. And the soul sacrifice began at the start, but I didn't register it because it's the seeing the good. So it's the shifting between acknowledging, like from just like seeing the good and being really optimistic, and then putting ourselves in situations that aren't necessarily good because we're just seeing the good, to seeing the truth. The truth is, we are all beings of life. We have divine love inside of us. We do. But are we choosing to live by our lower self, or are we choosing to live by our higher self? Seeing the truth. Seeing not somebody else's truth, seeing the truth for what it is. Seeing, if I pull myself out of the situation for a second, if I come back, bring my higher self to center right now, and I look at the situation, oh, yeah, that was traumatic. That was designed to drain my energy. That was designed to trick me. If for 1 second I listened to that voice, the voice of the higher self being like, no, this isn't good, we're soul sacrificing, don't ignore that. Like, moving forward, we should not ignore that. The whole point is not to soul sacrifice. The whole point is to, when, you can't, they say to put your face mask on before you put somebody else's on an airplane. Like, you cannot save somebody unless you put yourself protected first, then you can help them. But you shouldn't take off your mask to put on someone else's. Like, you're on a plane and you're like, oh, well, I need to take off my mask to put on their mask because it's kind of in my way. No, your boundaries are not in your way. Your boundaries are keeping you protected. They're not in your way. Like, for me, it's like my boundaries. I'm like, well, maybe this is getting in the way of my happiness. No, your boundaries are not getting in the way of your happiness. Your boundaries are why you were happy in the first place. Your protections, your boundaries. Do not sacrifice yourself for somebody else. The test of spring was boundaries. Why should I be in a space that does not respect my authenticity? And then now I think about it in retrospect, anytime I left a situation, anytime I moved forward, it's because at the end of the day, my authenticity was not being respected. And anytime I stayed in a situation, I stayed with people and people stayed in my life, it's because we respected each other's authenticity. We respected each other's truth. And that is a very important boundary to have moving forward. So now for the channeling. So, because it's like they want me to read something from this book, and I don't know what. So what is it? There it is. So, this is from the Elfian source. It's this book, page 14. We're reading page 15. And it is an affirmation. I leave you with a gift from the flower, an affirmation to find your inspiration. So, place your hand on your heart. Before I say the affirmation, sometimes we can be scared of the truth. And I just thought about how spring showed me. Because then, I spent spring actually taking care of a flower, and taking care of flowers, and taking care of plants, too. And with that, I started to feel more relaxed, more grounded, so I could sleep. But when I was in a situation that was not aligning with me, that was out of alignment, I felt scared to sleep. I felt scared to connect. I felt scared to meditate. I felt scared to hear the truth. Because I knew this situation did not align with me. But it was the want of the ego that started taking over, where I had to sit and meditate with Archangel Michael afterwards and a little bit during, of having moments of being like, I gotta put the ego back in its place. I gotta put the ego back in its place. It is what we need, not what we want. I didn't want that situation to happen the way it happened. I needed it to. Because if it didn't happen that way, I would still be soul sacrificing to this day. It is never worth sacrificing your soul. So, now to the affirmation. I am calling on the flower of inspiration to shine her light on me. I ask her to place before me a petal path leading to my soul's truest inspiration. I leave behind the desires of the ego. I leave behind the desires of the physical form. I am ready to hear my soul's true inspiration, calling, purpose, and mission. I am ready and willing to listen to the guidance of the flower, for I believe in every fiber of my being that it will show me the way. It will show me how my true inspiration will benefit me and all others. Amen, Ashe, and so it is. Thank you, thank you. So is there anything else before we get to the channeling? Like, who wants to come through? Oh. And that's why I felt them today. They're also knocking on my door because they got a lot to say. We're doing the summer solstice reading with the divine timing, cosmic Elfian elementals. You know, I had a client today as well, and I kept hearing since morning the divine timing elementals. And they're like, okay, get on time, you gotta get here, get on time. They are not leaving me alone today. And like to open the book to that page, and it's the time section. And the time Elfian elementals, the divine timing Elfian elementals, like that it opens to this page. I'm like, there are certain little things that like prove to me that what I'm doing is real, and like this is all real, and this is all in alignment, and this is all like, you know, under the domain of God, source, creator. Like this is real. Like certain things like that just happen. That's like, and it makes sense, and it resonates. Yeah, because also Archangel Metatron kept coming through a lot as well, and he works with divine timing. So it is beautiful. So let's have them come through, because they've been knocking on my door. They've been knocking on my ears. They have been like buzzing around me. They've got lots to say. So although I normally think it's a warrior for summer solstice, but it's divine timing. It's action. It's divine masculine. Divine timing, cosmic Elfian elemental, and I just want to ask you, is this why you've been buzzing at me? For the summer solstice? Okay. Okay. Makes sense. Because normally, they're not as, like, the divine timing elementals, they're not as, like, reminder when I do anything. They're not, like, so, like, they're there, they'll tell me. The cosmic Elfian elementals of divine timing, but not like this. Not like where it's like constantly coming through. And even coming through when I had a session with a client, and it's coming through so much. Obviously message for that client too, but like also just like from the beginning, it's just coming through, like got a lot to say. Like they have something to say. So this is the divine timing for the divine timing cosmic Elfian elementals, and they want me to stop talking so they can come through, so they can say what they have to say, because they feel very eager and very excited. So divine masculine cosmic Elfian elemental of divine timing, you may step forth. Hello. Finally, hi, I am a divine masculine, divine timing, cosmic Elfian elemental, and happy summer solstice, you humans. It is a refresh of the summer season. It is a refresh of the sun, and you all need a refresh of the divine masculine. So, the sun is associated with the divine masculine, and the moon with the divine feminine. And in this year of the snake, it is cleansing of the divine masculine that is happening now in the test of free will. Isn't that exciting? So let me explain, beautiful, beautiful humans, Now, our communicator is asking why I'm so energetic, and it's because I've been waiting to give you all this message, dear humans. So listen up and listen good. Here is what you must know. The snake group soul is a cleanser of the earth, and they work with cleansing the ley lines and the imprints of the earth. And now is the time to cleanse the imprints of intrusion on free will, intrusion on the free will of humanity. It is the time for the cleansing and clearing of anything that took away anyone's rights. It is the time for the right of free will, the right to choose, the right to be your most authenticity, the right to be you. It is time to fight for change. And now change is occurring. Change is happening. It is time to change the story and choose a path that honors the boundaries of the soul. It is time to use your free will to break free from the ego and the lower polarity. It is time to use your free will to break free from jealousy. From jealousy. From hate. From judgment. Use your free will to forgive, to be grateful, to take the lesson and move on and let go. It is time to use your free will to let go of that which no longer serves you so you may be ready for what does. It is time to let go of wrath and the need for revenge. It's time to let go. Forgive and let go. It is time to let go those things and move forward. It is time to let go of the sloth, of the arrogance, of the pride. It is time to let go of the greed. It is time to let go of the gluttony. It's time to let go of anything that is draining on you. It is time to use your free will to let go of the draining things, because a lot of you humans like to use your free will to do the draining things, and that is not what is in the highest good of your soul and all of the collective all. So even though you're like, well, I am a human and I have free will and I can do whatever I please, well, sometimes your free will does negatively affect you and does not cause you to live a life of ease. So if you would like to bring forth divine serenity to you in this period of time, it is time for you to let go of those things that drain on you. So moving forward in this summer season, what you must know is, as the test of free will, it will still be upon all of you. It is time for you to use it for your highest good. Use it to grow, to expand, to connect, to meet new people, to have unity in oneself and unity with others. It is time to choose the truly harmonious connections that you feel like resonate with you, and let go of the things that use you, let go of the things that drain you, let go of the things that are affecting you negatively. It is okay to have strong boundaries in oneself, because you're not going to elevate your energy, nor the collectives. You're not going to be able to embrace your missions if you are constantly putting yourself in draining situations. So it's okay to use your no to pull you out of situations that drain on your choice, to do what resonates with your soul. Don't feel out of obligation to go and sit and be in sloth in an office, in a house, wherever it is. You have unlimited potential. You have things you need to do. And it is time to reactivate the frozen missions you have left behind and start doing what makes your soul sing, what makes you feel alive. You are a being of life. And those concepts that are deadly to the soul also are deadly to your zest of life, because your soul is a being of life, meaning those things actually kill your joy for life. Deadly concepts. They kill your joy for life, for true life, what it means to truly be living in nature, living in the physical, healing and growing and ascending and expanding. That is part of life. So all of those things where you're like, I'm a human and I have free will and I can just do whatever I want and do these things that are actually harmful to me. That's not living. Actually, truthfully, that's not in truth what living is. It's not what it is to be a being of life. It's time you understand what it means to be a being of life, and being a being of life is not those things. Being a being of life is living with nature, living with yourself, growing and expanding and finding the joy and connection and beauty of life as it is, and not in the draining things. Not in the things that lower your frequency, and the things that elevate you. Because life is so much more than those simply lower earthly desires of the ego, because that is not life. The ego doesn't understand life because it is not a being of life. It tries to simulate life and think, this is what it means to be living, because there's an adrenaline rush. That's not what it means to be living. That's not what it means to be a being of life. You know what it means to be a being of life in your soul, and it is not those things. But it is when you go and you walk in nature. It is when you go and explore, and when you learn, and when you recover your ancient wisdom. It is in those connections with others and meeting people. It is in honoring yourself and feeling joyful and happy in who you are as a soul, not at who you are as a body, because you are a soul within a body, and it is time for you to remember that. And that is the final message for the summer season. I hope you take it with you into the summer season, and make sure to trust divine timing and have patience throughout this summer, because you will be rewarded for your patience in this summer season. Know you are setting the groundwork and foundation for the abundance that autumn will bring. So have patience and know that these deadly concepts will drain on your soul. So it's time to live life from the frequency of life, which is in the heartbeat of Mother Nature, and in connection with the earth and all of the beautiful people around you, from a place of higher connection, not lower vibration, false connection that actually drains the souls. It is that higher elevated connection of laughing and connecting with friendship, eternal loving friendship. Eternal loving friendship. Connect to your divine love spark within you in this summer season. Thank you for that message, Cosmic Elfian Elemental of Divine Timing. And that is the end of the Summer Solstice Inspired Awakening episode. So thank you for joining us. The next Inspired Awakening episode will be my journey as a channeler, I believe, is the next one. So more insight on the new book that has come out. If you are interested in that, the visuals, they're giving me the visuals delayed because there was an interruption. So yes, the visuals are of not giving up. Yes, sometimes when interruptions occur, there is a message of not giving up, like when you're knocked down or you feel you're at a lower point, like not giving up, to keep persevering. It is like the visual of determination, and to keep going is the primary visual that was given for summer. And I'm sure that will be expanded upon, and it was kind of mentioned in the summer solstice, the June color frequency reading, because obviously June is the beginning of the summer season. But I'm sure it'll be expanded on more in the July color frequency reading. So when that comes out, go ahead and give that a watch as well. But that primary visual for the summer season is that determination of not giving up and to keep going, like in the face of being feared for being judged, or whatever it is, because someone else's ego is not going to comprehend what resonates with your soul, because even your ego cannot comprehend what resonates with your soul, so why would somebody else's? So why even worry about their opinion and judgment? Is that visual coming through? Is like, why even worry about it when your own ego doesn't understand what resonates with your highest self and your soul, and is trying to prevent you from living your life authentically? So if you can't even please your own ego, don't even worry about pleasing somebody else's, because you just got to worry about keeping your ego in check and living your life led by your highest self and led by the soul, and not necessarily super concerned about somebody else's. And that kind of visual kind of makes everything kind of makes sense, brings through that like clarity of like, we're struggling, everyone's struggling with their own egos anyway, so why worry about pleasing somebody else's? Like, that's not the point of this. The point of this is to live a life led by your soul, and also live a life led by your soul, not somebody else's ego as well. So don't worry about pleasing others. It's being determined for yourself and your growth and your development into integration with your highest self. That is the goal. Is to go through those tests and work to overcome the limitations that the ego provides. So, you know, there's a lot of us where we do kind of overcome kind of the influences of our ego a little bit, but then we succumb to pleasing somebody else's ego because we're afraid of how they might perceive what we do and who we are. But it's being determined to embrace your authenticity was that visual, like a human climbing like a rocky mountain, getting to the top and losing people along the way who think that they're crazy for what they're doing. But really, you know that you're doing it for you. That human knows why they're doing it. And they might not be able to explain it to everybody else. It might not make sense to everybody else, and maybe at some points it doesn't make sense to them, but they know that that's their calling, and that's the visual of, you know, the soul's truest inspiration that we did that affirmation for. So that concludes the summer solstice video for 2025. That is the final message. Look forward to more channelings with the Elfian animal healers and the cosmic Elfian elementals, as well as the Earthian elementals, for much more on the theme of bringing forth divine wisdom from the animal kingdom, the plant kingdom, and the crystalline energy and color frequency coming through as well, until we transition to a more channeled guidance. So thank you so much for joining me on, I think, well, since this book, it's been about the 3-year journey of being a channeler, and happy summer season. Goodbye for now. Sending you love, light, and inspiration from the Elfian realms. We have a final Elfian message for you all. Yes, so we are just one piece. This is a concluding message. So the source of the Elfian realm would like to conclude: we are just one piece of the puzzle. We are just one story out of the masses of stories. We are the Elfian realm, born from the flower of inspiration. The physical realm is not all there is, and the universe is not all that it seems. It is up to you as an individual to seek more, to learn about your soul origins, to learn the truth of the universe. Your physical history is an illusion, meant to distract from the infinite truth of the universe. Be a truth seeker, and once you discover the truth, be a truth speaker. The time for metaphors is done. It is time for clarity beyond physical comprehension. We adore you all. We adore all of you more than you can imagine, and if you just open your heart and mind to remember your soul's truth, you may just remember that you adore us too. We believe in you and all of you, no matter what you have done in this lifetime. We believe you are the generation to birth the next golden age. Our realm supports you and loves you unconditionally. So that concludes this video for summer. So until the next, until 3 months later, the autumn equinox, this concludes our our 1 out of 4 astrology-based channelings. So hope you enjoyed the recap for the spring season. Let me know if there's any other themes that you noticed from spring energetically that are guiding us forward. And let me know any themes you noticed throughout the summer season as well. Would love to hear more feedback about what we're all noticing, because we're all kind of experiencing the same thing as a collective. Sending you love, light, and inspiration. Stay inspired.